Yo, coming to you on this cloudy day. As you can kind of see behind me, it's been raining a little bit here, which is a little bit of a relief, honestly. We definitely needed some rain. It hadn't in a while. And I did a little update yesterday that was a little bit all over the place. I've been dealing with some allergies and health issues recently that kind of made me a little bit moodier than usual the last few days, but luckily I'm feeling a little bit better today. I haven't been taking my allergy medicine the past couple of days, and I have noticed a slight improvement in how I'm feeling. I'm still having the symptoms, but luckily that season is coming to an end pretty soon, the springtime allergy season. So I wanted to do another update again today. It's been a little bit of a weird time recently. I've been still following all of the different life improvement strategies that I've talked about recently, but for whatever reason, I've found myself wrestling with my mind a little bit more than usual recently. I feel like overall I've actually been doing pretty well. I have a lot of good things going for me, and a lot of times I actually feel like pretty calm and at peace, but there are just times where I found that it's been harder than usual to talk my way through certain emotions that I'm feeling, and I'm not really sure why that is. It could be partially just maybe dopamine withdrawal. That is something I've kind of thought about recently, because I've been doing little things like exercise and making sure that I'm doing things that I enjoy. But that being said, I obviously am still going to experience probably some form of dopamine withdrawal, because with the PMO stuff, it's like so much dopamine that it's, that is why it's so addictive, in other words. So it's been weeks, and honestly I've barely used it at all this year, which is a pretty big step in the right direction. But there are still moments where life just will sometimes feel a little bit like blah, like it's hard for me to find that spark that I have a lot of the time. But I know that this comes in waves, and there are also times where I get that wave where it's just blah, and then a few days later, or even sometimes 24 hours later, it's like a completely different side of the coin. So I'm not really quite sure what the answer to that is. I'm still kind of trying to figure out. I think maybe it's just, again, staying disciplined even when it's very difficult. But yeah, recently, for whatever reason, it's just been a little bit harder to do that. I haven't had any slip-ups or anything like that, but I've just noticed that my mind has been like sometimes trying to play tricks on me, almost like a little bit more than usual. And I think it can also be easy, like when you have big life changes, to kind of just say, oh well, I'm past everything now, like I'm in a better place, there's nothing for me to worry about anymore. But it's like, it's easier said than done. I mean, when you have like a pretty major life change or changes, those things are still going to hit you once in a while, and you can be as diligent as you want to be, as grateful as you want to be, but those things are still sometimes going to kind of get the best of you a little bit. And it does make you realize, though, if you can get through those moments, then you can really get through anything. So I guess that is the positive of it. Sometimes it can feel like you can't handle the amount of anxiety you're feeling, or maybe the pain of losing a part of your life, but you can handle it. And that's something I've realized, like, even if it's like the worst possible feeling, like, I can handle it, but um but that doesn't necessarily make it easy. And things like journaling, talking to friends have been helpful. Even the diversions that I talked about are very helpful for this, creating not necessarily complete distractions, because you don't want to completely just dismiss those thoughts or feelings. But if you have diversions, sometimes if you find that your brain is in a thought loop where it's just repeatedly feeding you the same thing that's making you not feel the best, it actually can be good to have a diversion in that situation. Because, even if you solve the thought loop and you come to a resolution, sometimes they can still come back. And those are the moments when I think it's important to distract a little bit, because if you're, for instance, laying in your bed or sitting in the same position for a very long period of time, not really doing much else, then you don't really have complete control over what is going to enter your mind. So you have to sort of stop it and immediately just like change what you're doing, change the atmosphere. And that's a lot of the reason why I do these walks in the mornings, why I come out here. I've found recently that it's been very helpful for me to just get out of the house, and the feeling of walking kind of like allows me to step into my body and not into my mind as much. And that's just been probably one of the most helpful things recently. But yeah, I wish these past few updates could be a little more uplifting, but it has been a little bit of a rocky time recently. And it's weird because it's all in our heads, right? So it's, even no matter what's happening to you on an external level, the ways that we feel are all caused by something that's going on in here most of the time. Sometimes physical pain can be hard too, but I'd say like 98% of the time, whatever is happening in our heads is directly affecting how we feel, how our outlook is on everything else. So I do try to remember that too, and that's why I think it's so important to work on developing the calm mind, and then also like really practicing gratitude and those kinds of things, because without that stuff, we can really just kind of get stuck and feel like our life is not what we want it to be. But if you really kind of look around and think about what you do have, I think you can really shift that pretty quickly if you try hard enough. And there are people that go through very traumatic events, people that lose unbelievable amounts of things in their life, whether that's people or the ability to do certain things, and they are still living their life and grateful for what they have. And that's something I think is just really important to remember in trying times. But yeah, I think also just not feeling sorry for yourself is really important. And it's easier said than done, because unfortunately it's part of the human condition that we kind of tend to feel sorry for ourselves. And whether you want to admit it or not, I mean, that is a fact. And I'm not saying that men are worse about it, but I do think that, especially if you have been addicted to something like PMO, it can be very easy to feel sorry for yourself because you were used to getting this constant reward all the time. And then when you don't have that reward, you start feeling like, oh, like, I just don't have anything to, like, you know, get rid of this anxiety or tension or whatever that I'm feeling. Or, oh, well, maybe if, like, you know, I had a partner, like, things wouldn't be going this way for me. And it's like you can follow all these different paths into feeling sorry for yourself, and that actually does absolutely nothing. I just want to repeat that again. It does absolutely nothing. So that is really important to remember. I'm trying to take my own advice on it some of these days recently, but it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form to feel sorry for yourself. And sometimes I know that it's not fun to hear that, because it's like, yeah, you may have had some really bad stuff happen to you, but it's still not going to get you anywhere. So you've got to stay focused, really not even on the future as much or the past. Like, you got to stay focused in the present. And I think it is good to think about what your ideal future looks like, but it's not so great to get wrapped up in what may or may not happen in the future. And I've gone through both rabbit holes. I've gone down the rabbit hole of the past, and sometimes I still have that issue where I'll start beating myself up about things that I wish I had done differently in the past. I've gotten quicker at stopping myself with that. And even with, I've gone into the future too and thought about, like, oh, well, what if this happens? What if blah, blah, blah? And it's like that what if thought loop. That's another path to just misery, I think, because you're going to start to obsess over these hypotheticals. And really the truth of it is, you've got to be comfortable with uncertainty, because we don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen, ever, really. So the present moment is really the only thing that we have control over. And if you're being the best version of yourself you can be right now, and not acting out of fear of maybe the person that you think people view you as, or fear of what could happen in the future, then you will really see your life transform. And I certainly have started to see my life transform in a lot of ways recently. That doesn't necessarily make it always easy, but I'd say, considering, you know, the circumstances of how I got here recently, I'm doing very well with everything. But anyway, these are my thoughts of the day. I've been sharing a lot of videos recently because I've just felt kind of compelled to talk about these things. I haven't really felt, again, super relaxed recently, so it sometimes is a little therapeutic for me as well to get these things off my chest while I'm thinking them. So hope you guys are well out there. Hope that your allergies are not getting the best of you too much right now, but if they are, it's kind of understandable. All right, have a good rest of the Tuesday.